I'm filming this from Multnomah Falls, and in this video we are going to talk about how to avoid depreciation so that you have your money grow more effectively. What is the first major purchase in your life? For me, when I first got my study loan, the first paycheck was 5,000 ringgit, and I used 4,800 to buy 88 keys piano. It's a keyboard called Korg SG Pro X, and later I sold that keyboard back in 2011 for 2,000 ringgit, so it's almost 58% depreciation over 12 years. This is the top of the Multnomah Falls, where the stream here, the water will flow down and go through the falls. First thing we must realize is that most thing we buy, we spend money on, will depreciate over time, so it will lose its value over time. And most of the things you buy has a quite predictable depreciation rate. For example, the laptop you bought, it will probably worth nothing after 5 years. Typically, cars will drop in value about 10% to 15% a year. So if you buy a 100,000 ringgit car, you will lose the value 10,000 about that every year. And a smartphone, it will lose 50% of its value over, say, 2 years. Say TVs, wear and tear stuff like clothing and shoes, you almost lose all this value. Okay, now you understand depreciation. So what is the opposite of depreciation? Yep, it is appreciation. That means the value of something that you buy is actually going up. Some stuff appreciate in value. For example, the first property I bought back in Penang for 250,000, I sold it later at 480,000, and until today we still receive calls from brokers from time to time asking us to sell that property because they have prospective buyers. But we already sold it quite some years ago. The second example, maybe land. We have good friends in rural area in Batu Pahat where they own many parcels of palm oil plantation. Those palm oil plantations still churn out income harvest every year, and so they derive income from it, and they also enjoy the capital appreciation of the land's value. Another example is stock. So if you buy a company that grows over time, your shares will also appreciate in value. And another thing people always overlook is that using money you can acquire, learn skills and knowledge, and those things will never be taken away from you, and some of it is proven useful for your entire life. Like for example, I always quote this. You see, Buffett, he's such a good investor. He has very smart investing mind that he can use that knowledge and skill until he's like over 90 years old right now. Even though you're retired and cannot walk, but you can still make use of that knowledge. Now you understand about appreciation and depreciation. So when you have money, in fact, you have two choices, right? You either spend it on consumption and buying things that depreciate in value, or you can also accumulate asset that will go up in value over time. There is another choice. The third choice, which is you choose to do nothing about it. That means when you have that money, you just keep it in the bank, and we'll talk about that too. Some people like to pile up cash, so you give them a sense of security that you know that you have some cash stashed somewhere, and usually in the banks. Is it a good place to store the value of money? Of course not, because due to inflation, your buying power will deplete over time. Although saving that money is much better than spending it on consumption, on things that depreciate in value, but if you want to do well in your finances, you ultimately need to know how to use that money to acquire those appreciating assets. So the question is cash an appreciating asset? In my opinion, no, it is not, due to inflation and the low interest environment. Basically, your cash is just depleting because your buying power will be depleted. I'm gonna give you some tips or a guide that can help you avoid depreciation so that you can have more money to grow your wealth. Number one, if you no longer use the things that is in your possession, just sell it. What I mean is liquidate it, turn it into money. Like for example, I just sold my Ford Mustang back in last year November because I know that I'm not going to use that car for at least 6 months or more, and I cannot make any income from it, and because there will be no renter during the winter. So I decided to actually sell it and turn it into money in cash, instead of let it sit in my garage and depreciating every day. And furthermore, I need to pay insurance for it and the maintenance as well. You might find some other things in your household that is not used, like a piece of furniture that still have some values. Why not just liquidate it first? Number 2, get brands that can hold its value better, especially the big items. Like for example, if you are getting a smartphone, normally Apple's Apple's iPhones will hold its value better than other brands. If you want to buy a car, you buy a Toyota in Malaysia, right? Because of the known reliability and quality. When you know that it's in high demand, popular, and everybody know of it, you'll have a much lower depreciation rate. Brands that can hold the value better, your resale value of your possession will be much higher than other brands. This trail ahead is closed, so I have to do another route to go back. Number 3, consider to buy used item from the resale market, especially the big item. And for example, I bought my first baby grand piano. So the new one, it was about 23,000 ringgit. So I searched it from the resale market, and a friend introduced me to a seller who just bought that piano for a couple of months. But her children are not taking lesson anymore, so she's in desperation to get rid of that piano. So I got it at a good deal. I bought it for 10,000 ringgit only, and after using it for I think close to 10 years, I still sold the piano more than 10,000 in fact, and making some money from there. Number 4, if rare antiques and collectibles are your things, if you like those stuff, then you can consider to use those things. For example, if you have a great piece of antique furniture, it might worth more when you sell it later. And also, for example, especially the fluent people, they will like to buy artist painting, well-known artist painting, to hang on the wall in their house or as decoration, instead of just using some other generic paintings. So those paintings also tends to appreciate over time if you know how to appreciate art. Number 5, take good care of your possessions. So you want to do regular maintenance, keep your stuff at a top-notch condition, because at the time when you want to sell it for an upgrade or something, it will be much easier to find a buyer for it, and also it will command better prices. Came to the area that is like fully covered with snow. Finally, number 6, don't spend too much money on the things that will depreciate over time. Until the day you have too much money to spend, you better keep your spending in check. Don't ever spend the money you don't have to buy the things that you don't need to impress the people you don't like. Remember that at the beginning of this video, I talked about the major purchase I did. I used my student loan and bought an 88-key piano keyboard to do some music production. If I've used that money, that 5,000 ringgit, to purchase Apple stock at the time in the year 1999, it was 50 cents a share, and the stocks would have appreciated more than 1 million ringgit right now. So of course we cannot change the past, and now it's the right time for you to do the right decision so that you can enjoy the benefit of it decades later. How about you? What is your first major purchase? Did it appreciate in value or depreciate in value? So tell me in the comment, we'd like to hear from you. Thanks for watching. My name is KCLau, a financial author and educator. Be smarter with money.